Everyone, and welcome to week 9 of our course, where we will be going over the material from chapter 21, the firm, costs, and output determinants. Chapter 21 is one of those foundational chapters where we'll take our knowledge gained and apply and build upon it in the coming weeks as we learn about market models, monopoly, oligopoly, and perfect competition. Although some of these definitions might seem a little abstract at first, I want you to commit to applying yourself to learning them because we'll be building off of them as we learn more about these market models. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right into the concepts of chapter 21. The first concept that the text goes over is this idea of short-run costs and long-run costs. When I first learned about the short run and long run, the first thing I wanted to do is attach a time variable to that. Something like anything greater than 10 years is in the long run, anything less than 10 years is in the short run. Well, this might be true in some areas of study. When it comes to microeconomics, you can take the short run, long run, and attaching a time variable to it and throw it out the window. Short run costs in production simply means at least one of our inputs or variables in production are fixed. This can be anything from the plant size to the bills we pay, like rent for the factory, or utility bills like garbage. If there is a fixed cost associated with it, regardless of the number of goods we produce, then we are operating in the short run. However, if all of our inputs are variable, we are running in the long run. There's a few different production functions that are in chapter 21. There's 3, in fact, and there'll be more production functions that we'll learn about as we continue to learn about market models. The 3 in chapter 21 that the text goes over is this idea of average product, marginal production, and maximum efficiency. Average product is simply a ratio of our total product divided by our variable input. Marginal production, as the name suggests, is the cost of additional inputs, a cost to produce one additional good. Finally, maximum efficiency is the point of our output curves where we are maximizing the number of outputs given the current inputs. With production, you may have learned about this concept of the law of diminishing marginal product. What this simply means is at some point when we're producing a good and we produce more and more of that good, typically we become more and more efficient, meaning it's taking less inputs to make one additional output. However, at some point that production curve might go horizontal, and at a given point our efficiency will actually go down. When this occurs, it is the law of diminishing marginal product in action. Let me give you a simple example to explain why this happens. Imagine for a moment you are producing food and you want to produce more and more food in your given restaurant. Well, what should you do? Of course, you hire more cooks. And as you hire more cooks, your production and efficiency of making food goes up. At some point, let's say you hire your 20th cook, your efficiency might start to flatline out. And as you hire maybe your 40th or 50th cook, the production efficiency actually goes down. Why might that be the case? Well, as you hire your 40th or 50th cook, they might be waiting a little while to produce their food. And as those resources go down, the cooks are waiting to use the pan or the oven. Of course, your efficiency in producing a given good will also go down. There are a lot of different costs that we'll learn about this week that will apply to the coming weeks. And all of these costs that we learn about in chapter 21 will also apply to our market models. There's 3 that chapter 21 go over. The first is total costs. And total cost is simply our fixed costs plus our variable costs. Fixed costs, as we learned earlier in the lecture, only apply to the short run, and they do not change as a result of the number of output we are currently producing. The final cost introduced in chapter 21 is the idea of variable costs. And variable costs will change depending on how much output we are producing. Easy examples of variable cost will be things like wages and material. With total costs, with fixed costs, and with variable costs, you will be asked to calculate these not only at the margin, but to calculate the average of them. You'll see them on tables often, and you'll also see them represented in curves. And especially when we're looking at the curves, there's 3 special points within these curves that you should keep in mind in this chapter and in the coming weeks. The first is the concept of the curve when we're operating at economies of scale. And when we're operating at economies of scale, it means the more we are producing, the less our long-run average cost will be. When we're operating at constant returns, it means that the more we produce, our long-run costs stay constant. And finally, we can hit that point where we talked earlier about it, of diseconomies of scale. Diseconomies of scale occur because of the law of diminishing returns. It's where the more we produce, our long-run average costs actually go up, or we become less efficient. Those are the main concepts in chapter 21. Like I said at the start of the lecture, some of these might seem a little bit abstract, but we will absolutely be building upon these concepts and cost curves as we learn about our market models. So if anything's not clicking, whether it be in the material or in your homework, please, please, please reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. We'll talk soon. Thanks.